Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we're seeing red and black, and that's it. The Island Palace in the south has a raft, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society has a raft with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. I mean, what a very special episode, not least because we have a very special guest.
Yes, filmmaker, friend of the show, previous guest, Michael C. Hearn is here.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Hearn, how's it going?
For the episode you all wanted to hear, Virtual Boy 30th anniversary.
That's right. It is. We are celebrating today, as you are listening to this episode, is the 30th anniversary of the release of the Nintendo Virtual Boy in North America. And we've got two people on this show who either have owned or currently own
and
Virtual Boys.
I'm also here, too.
And Mark is also here. But yeah, we're going to run through all of the games released in North America. Maybe just America. Was it released in Canada?
I don't know.
I don't know. Not Europe, though.
Not Europe.
Not Europe.
Interesting. That I didn't know,
They
too.
just, I think they just gave
They
up.
just gave
they were
up,
like,
yeah.
oh, this is going so poorly.
Right. Just Japan and North America.
Europeans were like, can we smoke while we played a Virtual Boy? And they're no.
Here's the thing. They didn't love the NES. They didn't love the Super NES, right? Like they were playing their like, I can't even pull the specific of what the like English
Yeah, but they're
The
like
PAL
home
consoles.
computers, right?
Yeah, that's right. But before we jump into that and truly celebrate the Virtual Boys library in the way that it deserves, we just want to shout out the Patreon, patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. You can head on over there if you would like to support us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels and get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS at the Movies,
Where Patrick and I are going together to a theater, sometimes with a special guest, seeing movies, and then talking about them.
Yeah.
We did episodes about Superman, about the Fantastic Four First Steps, about The Naked Gun, and there will be more episodes on that in the future.
There'll be one in September.
That's right.
There'll be one in October.
Plus,
And so on.
and so on and so
Right.
forth. And then, if you're supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit level, you can also check out other miniseries we've done in the past, like
Yes.
NCS Arcade, NCS Goes Broadway, NCS Detective
Detective
Club.
Yes. And we revisit Detective Club from time to time, so check that
That's right.
stuff out. Also, if you are not already in our Discord, Hearn's in the Discord.
I sure am.
You should email us, I suppose, at Nintendo Cartridge Society
At
gmail.com.
Thank you, Hearn. I do check those emails, so it is like you're
Yeah, it's like you're
me.
emailing Patrick.
And
It's the royal us.
that's right. Yes. But I said I. Anyway, email us, and we'll send you an invitation. You can get in there, chit-chat about Nintendo all day long. Hearn, before we get into the actual ranking here,
All right.
is there anything that you would like to plug or let people know about up top here?
Just my website, michaelchearn.com. I've been heard that the C gives it an extra flavor. All my short films, and just ways to contact me if you like my short films. Beyond that, you can find me on Blue Sky at or at MC Hearn. I remembered I didn't keep that uniform. And then, yeah, just I'm playing video games on there, talking about them sometimes. That's about it. That's, putting what I can when I do stuff.
So check Hearn out there. But in the meantime, check us out as we rank the Virtual Boy games. All right, but before we dive into, this is such a small library, it's the only Nintendo console library that I think we could even dream of doing a definitive, complete ranking of.
Right, and we won't even be doing that because we're not going to do the Japanese games.
Right, and we're not going to do the games that didn't come out.
Yes.
Even though it's tempting. There's an intelligent
Yeah.
systems game in here that was like an adventure RPG kind of thing. Didn't come out, but it sort of existed. It had dragons in it. I'm just saying, I wish there would have been more to this thing. But before we get into the library here, maybe just a little bit about our personal experience with the Virtual Boy.
I mean, do we even need to talk about just what the Virtual Boy is?
Possibly, yeah.
Because it's 30 years old,
Mhm.
but was only with us for such a short amount of time.
It was like 8 months that they were actively supporting the platform.
But what an impact.
What? Yeah, but what? An impact?
What? Comma and impact.
I, of course, owned a Virtual Boy when I was a lad. My birthday is in August. So when this thing came out on the 14th of August, 1995, I was turning 13 just a couple weeks later. And it was like a birthday present for myself that I had been like saving up for the Virtual Boy. I was very excited for this thing. I don't really have a memory as to why I
Do you remember like the commercials that came out at the time? I remember some of those like TV ads where the Virtual Boy was almost prescient and hopped into the face of like a gaming lad.
I mean, maybe it was probably I was seeing it in Nintendo Power,
yes.
right? And I was a big like Super NES kid, had a Game Boy, like it was plugged into the ecosystem. And excited for that Nintendo 64, Nintendo Ultra 64 at that point, but it was still so far away. And so like I fell for this thing hook, line, and sinker, bought a bunch of games right at the beginning, and then had the experience that basically everyone does, and got sick of it pretty quick. Hearn, I'd like to hear a little bit of your experience with the Virtual Boy.
Okay, so I do remember it coming out and the idea of it and the intrigue of it. Like I said, I do remember the commercials and probably read some of the same Nintendo Powers as you. I didn't specifically ask for it or seek it, though, but what happened was, and actually I was glad Retronauts did an episode about it, and I was glad Jeremy Parrish, author of the Virtual Boy Works, the definitive work on Virtual Boy,
which is sitting on the table right now, yes.
Brought this up, and I was glad that this wasn't just an odd thing, but like sometimes Blockbuster would let you rent consoles, and I remember this. Yes. I did rent a PlayStation 1 back in the day for a little bit, one time. I did not rent the Virtual Boy. What happened was it came out in August, and I believe around December, like end of the year-ish, it was already like in certain. My dad and I went to a Blockbuster, and it was already in the clearance, like one of their rental copies with the bots, and a bunch of games were on clearance sale. And my dad is really interested in like just general technology, and I think the idea of like something virtual like intrigued him. So he went ahead and bought the Virtual Boy and each copy of the like game that they had in there, which is 8 games. And I'll leak in which ones I got
as we encounter
them, because some of them are surprisingly interesting. But yeah, I got that around December. It wasn't like a super hyped up thing for me, so I played it a good amount, enough that I wasn't like sick of it or disappointed. But also, I only had 8 games for it. I never like sought too much beyond it, and it's always been a weird curiosity.
Yeah, well, it's such a finite experience, right? Because it is solely a single player thing.
Yeah.
They had a port on it for a link cable that they never released, and all the games, which even those that really should have been 2-player, like Mario Tennis, was not. And you couldn't you could show it to your friends in that you could ask them to plant their face in it. But there was no way to experience something with someone else on the Virtual Boy, which is one of the, I feel like that's how kids communicate games to each other, right? It's watch me play this a little bit, or let me watch you play. And that was just an impossibility with Virtual Boy.
No, that's accurate. And I think just I shared it with my sister, would have been the only other person I think who'd had the similar experience of me, and we just traded off with that and our laptop or something and play different games. But yeah, I can't think of anyone else I knew at the time that was interested in it or knew about it, or or how I would pitch it to someone. I don't think I ever attempted it.
Yeah, well, and so you had mentioned the controller before we started recording. Very strange controller.
Yes.
Mark, have you ever held a Virtual Boy controller?
Yes. So, but a very long time ago, because my experience with the Virtual Boy is that somehow I knew I didn't subscribe to Nintendo Power or anything. Somehow I knew about the Virtual Boy, the existence of it, but it wasn't something that I was really tapped into. And then one day I was staying, for some reason, I was staying late at school, and they had a after school program, and one of my friends who was there had a Virtual Boy with him, and so that's my one experience playing a Virtual Boy. is
Whoa.
there. So very, very limited experience with Virtual Boy.
So wait, did he bring the Virtual Boy to school like that day and was like thereafter? Like he must have, right?
He must have.
Because okay, despite the fact that it has boy on the end of it and it is like part of the line sort of like Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and it doesn't hook up to a TV, it sort of presents as a portable system, but is like profoundly not, right?
Right.
You don't strap it to your head. It has like this little like kickstand like tripod thing that only has like 2 supports on it. And you got to really like have it placed perfectly on a table, probably stacked up on some books as well, and like have your face planted in it.
I also think we should bring up, by nature, it doesn't want you to play it for very long for fear of losing your eyesight, because every single game has an option for an automatic pause where like every 15 to 20 minutes, it will pause the game for you and be like, take a break. Just get this off your face for a second. Look at the sun, and like it's just like
right. Well, and there was like a warning on it that like no one under 6 or 7 or something should use it at all. Like, I mean, I think it is because the way it presented a 3D image was that there were basically 2 little screens, 2 designated screens, one for each eye, that would project like half the image, or the full image, but like the 2 of them together would be a little bit offset, so you would give the illusion of depth. But it effectively meant that you had a screen inches away from your face. And it achieved some of this through like mirrors and stuff too. So it's like not exactly as bad as having like 2 CRTs inches away from your eyeballs, but it's also not much better.
And was it that like did the color scheme have anything to do with the fact that you weren't supposed to like stare at it for a long time?
That's the thing. I think the red and black idea of it was that those are better frequencies to be putting right next to your retinas than like a full color scheme.
Well, it's that, but it is also that because the graphics are generated with LEDs. This is in the early days of LEDs, and so red was the most readily available like color of LED. So they could have done a full color image, but all of the other colors would have been way more expensive. So they were like, forget it, just red.
Just red.
And then against like a black inky background.
See, I thought they were being considerate, but they were just being cheap.
I mean, it's it's the Gunpei Yokoi thing of like how cheaply and effectively can we make this product, and like the sacrifice of have it only be red and black is what allows it to like function kind of at all at a reasonable-ish price point. Do you remember how much this thing was at launch, Hearn?
I mean, what
did you guys pay for it?
Yeah, I definitely got it on discount. I want to say my dad paid maybe $80 for the console, and then like the games were like 10 to 20-ish. I forget. This was forever ago, and I was not in charge of our finances.
Right.
But
I do think that by the end of the year, even at retailers, it was like discounted down to like $99.
Yeah. Think how like
ours
genuinely
was probably a pre-owned too.
Yeah.
Think how like genuinely terrible, like how bad it must have sold that just a few months in, they're like, oh, this is unsalvageable. Like there's nothing we can like. We're just going to cut our losses entirely.
It's hard to say what their expectations were for Virtual Boy, though, right? Because like Nintendo 64 was just a year away, right? And like I guess the sort of idea is that this was a potential replacement for the Game Boy.
Yeah. Do you think that's like? Because I think that is a good question. Like the why of Virtual Boy. Why did they feel? So I guess maybe Pokemon hadn't hit.
But yeah,
by
Pokemon
that point
does not exist in 1995,
and so
not even in Japan, right?
Okay.
Like 97 is when Pokemon starts to appear. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have no idea why why the Virtual Boy was even a thing to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess by 1995, the Game Boy is 6 years old, right? Like it is, and just a couple years later, or I guess a couple months later, right? Because it's 96 as well that the Game Boy Pocket comes out. So they have like a major revision to the like classic Game Boy hardware. But yeah, this is maybe before they were thinking about third pillars or whatever. But like here was just a new toy that they were putting out.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I think about this the same way that I think about the Alarmo, where I'm like, they put out this, and they're the same color, which is weird, right? Like it's the same like a red plastic color. but like where I'm like, what actually was the market for this, and what were your expectations? And obviously, they supported the Virtual Boy with more stuff, and had like publishing partners that actually made games for it, or at least made games that also came out on Virtual Boy. But yeah, it's a weird little curiosity here. We mentioned the controller, but still have not explained it. So it has like two grips, like two PlayStation controller style grips, and two D-pads, a D-pad under your left thumb and a D-pad under your right thumb. And then two buttons on each side. On the left side, there a start and select button, and then a B and A button on the other side. But you know how like start and select are usually like different kind of like squishy buttons or like different shaped in some way. This was not the case for the Virtual Boy. They were the exact same as the A and B buttons. So it had this like sort of perfectly symmetrical controller. Controller also had the batteries plugged into it.
Yes.
That's what powered the machine, is the batteries in the controller.
Huh.
Because, again, you also have to imagine you're sitting in front of this thing right next to your face. You're not able to look at your controller either.
Right.
And
So it has to be intuitive.
Yeah, so like the symmetry is probably intentional for that. And then, like you are supposed to keep the controller close to it because you're kind of wrapped around it, holding it in front of you. I guess it's the only real ideal situation to play it. And then, I remember the battery pack being like slipped into the back, clipped on, and it would be how you plug into the like wall or whatever.
Exactly. And it's so weird, but like this is so not a virtual reality thing, right? Like there's no movement tracking, there's no kind of no anything. It's really just a way to present like 3D images to you. It's a 32-bit processor, so it is more powerful than a Super NES.
That's one of the things when I was watching like footage of the games, is some of them, like some of the sprites, like it look really good. Like some of the games look really good.
Yeah, well, and especially impressive when you realize that it's rendering the exact same thing twice, like simultaneously, for one for each screen. But yeah, it's just held back so much by the red and black, like two-tone color system, that even the things that look great still kind of look bad.
Also, super crazy that the controller had two D-pads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of games that use that a little bit. I think Tellero Boxer had like an element where you could do that.
Yeah, and in Tellero Boxer, you use the D-pads to control the two fists independently. So like to guard, you push left on the right pad and right on the left pad to like bring the fists together.
It's like proto arms.
Yeah, it's really funky. Actually, and but other than that, I remember a lot of games were just regular D-pad on the left side, B and A on the right.
Right, and then just a sort of extra button on the right for the D-pad. Although I guess like Red Alarm kind of uses the two.
Oh, it does for like
and Jack Bros as well.
Yes.
To sort of emulate the idea of like a twin stick control scheme, but with D-pads. Which like in some ways very forward looking, right? Like anticipating the dual whatever it is, DualShock controller. Just with D-pads instead of sticks. Do we have any like any highlights? Or Hearn, you said you had 8 games.
I did.
And we'll go through the games kind of like one by one, or should we just do that? Should we just start going through the games one by one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Or let's start with your library though.
All right.
The ones that you owned.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Well, one that I'm looking at right on the top of the pad of games you printed out is Galactic Pinball, which I did have.
Yes.
Which is a 3D pinball game, like top down. You're kind of like almost the perspective is starting from the very bottom slanted of the pinball machine. And there's different, like, the theme is all space. So, like, all the levels are kind of like space themed. You're shooting a ball into, like, trying to hit a moon. You're trying to hit spaceships. I remember that being, like, a fun, like, like, if you had, like, a soft spot for, like, the space pinball game that came on Windows back in the day. This is kind of like that, except it's 3D, kind of smaller scale, and it's virtual. But
it's what's interesting about it. Like, there are a couple things that I find interesting about Galactic Pinball, which is also a game that I had. even though they insist on calling it Galactic Pinball, it's not a ball. It's like a little hockey puck, like an air
That's
hockey
right.
puck.
Yeah, the perspective of it. You're right. Yeah.
Which and so like that's kind of cool, but also the perspective, like you're saying, they're able to fit an entire, like when you look at a pinball board, right? They're long, and the 3D effect does a really nice job of communicating like a pretty long board. Like, did either of you play pinball on NES?
No.
What I think probably from like Animal Crossing or something, but like
Sure.
I remember sometimes like if this is one of them, then it might be like where your ball would go up higher and it would just cut to a different screen or something.
Exactly.
This would be a single screen, is what I think you're getting at.
Yeah, they were able to contain the entirety of, and with this like simulated depth, that it would put like 2 screens worth of pinball machine on a single screen. And, like Mark, we played Kirby's Pinball Land back when we did Kirby Month a couple years ago, and that does the same thing, right? That, like when you shoot them up into another area, it has to like literally change screens. They were able to like kind of cheat that and present it here. There's also 4 tables in this thing, and each one has like its own rules. Like Galactic Pinball is a surprisingly like robust presentation of video pinball for 1995, and it's in 3D.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, that was an early favorite of me and my sisters. I remember just being like one that was easy to pass on and off, because there's probably not many you could say that about the Virtual Boy. You can't be like in it for too long and then pass off. But this, it's like, it's tables. It's relatively tough. Like I even replayed it recently, and it's kind of like immediate to die in, like if you aren't very good at pinball.
Right.
So yeah, I
feel that way about all pinball.
That's fair too. Yeah, actual pinball always kicks my butt. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always want to get like into pinball. I always want to like learn a machine and like. But then, the ball will fall right between the pedals. And I'm like, what was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I like Galactic Pinball a lot. Mark, what is your impression of Galactic Pinball?
So I have never been that into like video pinball. Like simulations of pinball, I don't think are particularly fun. But I do think it's interesting how the Virtual Boy lineup of games, like launch games, are in a lot of ways similar to what was offered on the NES. Like they're
absolutely
in there are exceptions to this in the Virtual Boy library for sure, but a lot of it is just kind of like classic rudimentary video game standards.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Mario Tennis in a second, but like so many of these games, and especially if you start to loop in like the Japanese titles as well, are sports games, like games with pre-established rules in some capacity. There were Tetris games, both in the North America and in Japan. So like, and then of course a video pinball. So it is kind of like they are not reinventing the wheel here in a lot of ways. They're just like, what are the types of games? Let's make one of those for Virtual Boy. Do you like pinball, like live real pinball?
Yeah, I like it well enough. I feel like I'm like you guys, where I've never mastered pinball or anything like that, but I enjoy a couple rounds.
Yeah. I also think that Galactic Pinball is a pretty good candidate for being emulated or like ported to, if they had like a Virtual Boy whatever it is, an NSO library, Virtual Boy Classics, that Galactic Pinball would be something that anyone could like pop in and mess around with and like have a decent time.
Yeah, I feel like that is kind of the fact that the Virtual Boy only lived for such a short amount of time and was never released in Europe. I feel like more like as time goes on and on, it's not that Nintendo is ashamed of the Virtual Boy. It's the fact that nobody knows what the Virtual Boy is. That is the thing that prevents the games from being presented again.
Yeah,
is just because it's like
it's almost like what would be the point,
right?
Yeah. But it's a little pinball game. So when it comes time for us to rank it, I feel like I'm going to push for this to be kind of on the high side, just tipping my hand a little bit there. I've got these things arranged right now in release order.
Oh, okay.
So we can.
I think I caught that a little bit with the Virtual
with the book
Boy
as well.
words. Yeah, I was like, I don't have to flip too far to find
to find the next one. And we'll see if Hearn had a copy of it. Yeah. I sure did. Mario's Tennis.
I did.
Hearn also had. I
That's
believe this
2
was
out of
the
2.
the pack-in.
I bet it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't with me because it was an individual
Right.
odds. But yeah, this was an easy early one as well to like get into the concept of. It's surprisingly early in like the Mario sports games, from what I recall. Though it's like
I think it's the first.
It's the first.
the first official, like not
Yes.
because like you could play as Mario in like Nintendo Open Golf or what or Open
Right,
Tournament or
yeah,
something.
NES Open.
But
yeah.
like this is Mario's sport.
That's right.
Cool.
So yeah, the very first Mario's Tennis. I guess the only one that uses the specific branding of the possessive Mario.
Mario's Tennis.
My
Mario's
Tennis.
Right.
This is the one Virtual Boy game that I have any experience with.
Yes.
Because this is the one.
Mhm.
And then watching footage of it, the sprites are really fun in this,
Mhm.
I
and
agree.
their butts are lovingly rendered.
Yes.
because of the stereoscopic like
Yeah.
3D, they're able to do something where instead of the camera kind of being an overview
Mhm.
of the court, it's like right down low and behind
Yes.
Yeah.
your avatar, your character.
It's moving when you move too, and like the depth and everything changes with it. It's really
yeah,
nifty.
as do the size of the sprites on like
Yes.
the other side of,
Yeah.
of the net. Like it's a surprisingly effective illusion of 3D, and some of that is just that like I was saying that like a lot of these games are like foundational video game things, but like tennis is the foundational video game
True.
thing, right? Tennis is Pong, tennis is Wii Tennis. But it turns out it's also Mario's Tennis. This game is okay in the actual playing. I always feel like the characters are a little bit too slow, and like it's not really like a dynamic tennis game. You don't have that many options of like how to hit the ball or whatever. But like it's full of personality, and I think I don't know. I think it's very cute, if not like kind of flawed. Hearn, your thoughts on Mario?
No, I agree. When I went back to replay it, I was like, this is pretty rudimentary. It doesn't help that like being the first, it doesn't have some of the like nifty like invention that later Mario sport games would have. But for like a Virtual Boy tennis game, especially since like I played some of like the Tetris or other sports games, and they just are just a sports game on the Virtual Boy, this one actually feels like, no, we have something in mind with the idea of what the Virtual Boy can do. And that's
Right.
pretty impressive about that. But it is a pretty simple tennis game. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to it.
I do think that if it didn't have Mario characters, that I would have been much more dismissive
True,
of it.
yeah.
If it was just Virtual Boy Tennis.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one that really cries out for having 2-player.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can play
Interesting,
doubles in
yes.
it, but it's just doubles with a
With
computer
a
player.
CPU, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is one though that modders in more recent years have added the ability to like hook up 2 Virtual Boys together, and you can play Mario's Tennis.
I mean, that's what it needs. So that's thank you, modding community.
Yes.
30
years just in time.
So that's Mario's Tennis. I will probably shoot for that to be right in the
Yes.
middle of the pack. Next up is Red Alarm. Now, I did not have this game, Hearn. I don't know if you did.
I did.
You did have Red Alarm.
Yes.
You want to walk us through what
Sure.
exactly it is?
So the biggest comparison, and even at the time too, especially from what I had, was it's very Star Foxy. It even has some of the same polygonal like craft of the R-wing almost to your spaceship and the enemies. Difference is this is straight up wireframe like everywhere. Like everything's like kind of see-through. It's not even as like filled out as some of the other Virtual Boy games with red textures. And what's interesting about that is that you do see some of like the impressive nature of the hardware doing that. Like you see the scale, you kind of like, and it's intuitive enough to control. Like you can go faster and slower, you can move around in a 3D space, and everything shifts with you. So it's well designed for what it is. And I think its main trickiness is that it is like, even more than the Star Fox game, like really tough in certain areas of just how chaotic it can get. It might be the only one I've experienced a little bit of slowdown with, like in the Virtual Boy hardware.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think, and it's again another game where if it wasn't on the invention of the Virtual Boy, I'd probably have more fault with like how weird the aesthetic of it all is. But I kind of have a soft spot for this one, just being like kind of a daring, like 3D level based campaign of shooting like in space and like with bosses that have distinct personalities and looks, and like it's trying a lot of stuff with like how you're doing it. Like you are like trying to get through levels quickly. You have fuel, you have points, you like can add up. It's arcadey. Like it's a complicated game in that sense, but also it's just a pretty straightforward 3D space area type shooter, starfighter shooter, like shooting, aiming, and you got bombs. So
well, and one of the things that like makes it stand out to me and makes me wish that I had it, when I was a kid, is that like the wireframe nature of it, like the see-through wireframe nature of it, means that when you see it presented on anything but a Virtual Boy screen, it is like confusing to witness.
Yeah.
Right? There are just a lot of red lines on the screen. You're like, am I flying down a tunnel? Are those bad guys? What am I looking at exactly? And my understanding, having never actually played it, is that the Virtual Boy does a great job of communicating like the difference in depth of those things, so that you always know what's your ship versus what's a hallway or an enemy ship or something like that.
Yeah, like bullets coming at you and how you're able to judge
Right,
that. I'm sure would
exactly.
be much tougher on like an immediate 2D plane.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like a real technical showcase for the Virtual Boy.
It's such a funny thing to say though, because like it also like looks like crap, kind of. Like it's novel, and like I like that it is like simulating the sort of like vector graphic thing without actually being like vector based, because that would be impossible on like a digital screen. But is cool though.
I mean, it seems like the contradiction of the Virtual Boy, right? Where you're like, this is kind of cool, but also a mess and seems horrible and not fun to play.
It's also notoriously short, right? It's like a 5-level deep game.
I wonder. I don't think I've ever officially beaten it. There are a couple of games like that here. I think I'll get to it, but I think I've only actually finished one campaign game, and then
Me too.
Yeah,
it's probably the same game.
And then the rest are like, and there's some where it's like, well, the point is you don't have to like finish it. Like there's hundreds of levels, or it's a pinball game. Like, but yeah, this is one where it probably is possible to beat. Probably not as difficult as some other games, but it probably was just like hard to wrap around and do and use the automatic pauses and take breaks and then actually see through the 5 levels. But maybe with emulation, maybe just when I eventually get my Virtual Boy back, because actually should specify my Virtual Boy is back home on the East Coast, so I haven't touched the thing in forever. So.
Now, if I still had my Virtual Boy, I would have prioritized that baby.
That's true.
That's like why I moved out here with my Dreamcast. I was like, this is pointless. I should not move across the country with a Dreamcast in my bag, but I did.
I did that with my Nintendo 64, so you and me,
yeah.
buddy. But yeah, I like Red Alarm for its novelty and niftiness. It's kind of a hard sell, I will admit.
Yeah, I will agree with that. The next up, invoked a couple times here already.
Yes.
Teleroboxer or Teleroboxer. I've heard it pronounced both ways. This is sort of like a robotic spiritual successor. Can robots have spirits?
I feel like that's too big of a...
I knew we'd get philosophical.
Too big of a question.
Well, we know Flood...
For the Virtual Boy's 30th anniversary.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We know Flood doesn't have a soul.
We know Flood doesn't have a soul.
But maybe the Teleroboxer robots do?
Do they not hurt when they get punched with giant fists?
It's basically a Punch-Out like.
Yes.
With just giant robots. The robots are all being controlled by people. Like, that's part of the fiction of Teleroboxer. Hearn, was this one that you owned?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Yes.
And I remember being, like, so enamored with this game.
Yeah.
Because it has just these enormous characters.
I mean, as far as cool factor goes, this is probably up there with the top of the Virtual Boy games, which is not a hard feat to do, but it is a, like... Name me another like really interesting like robot boxing video game. There aren't that many, I'm sure, and this was one.
Right.
And this is like and it's the perspective of the fighter, a la Punch-Out. So you're like right in some like different robots' faces with different patterns.
Yeah,
different
even
things.
a little bit like tighter in the robot's perspective, right? Because normally, like in a Punch-Out game, you're behind Little Mac.
True.
And sometimes it's a wireframe if you're like playing the arcade version.
Punch-Out, Super Punch-Out, whatever I remember. Similar.
But and this you were just like literally in Harry's eyes. And what I always found so compelling about the robots that you box in this is that they are made up of discrete sprites. In like Punch-Out, it's one big sprite, right? And you're seeing that thing like fluidly animated. But in Teleroboxer, an individual fist has its own sprite, partially because it needs to be able to traverse different planes of depth. So
you got a lot of
yeah,
that.
it looks so cool.
Yeah.
And some of these things are like weird and scary.
Yeah, no, they had a blast, I'm sure, designing like the enemies just as much as probably the Punch-Out people did, but instead it's like robots with like different like aesthetics to them.
Right, and robots can't be racist stereotypes.
True.
In the way,
That's right.
In the way that
That's right.
boxers
And
can
Lord, did they try.
They try so hard.
Okay, so how do you feel about Punch-Out games and Punch-Out games?
be. Right. How do I feel about Punch-Out games? Generally bad.
And so Teleroboxer, like...
Same bucket,
Oh,
really.
okay.
Here's the thing I'll say about this too. I've at least beaten a Punch-Out game or two. Teleroboxer is extremely difficult, probably
Yes.
even hindered by the fact that it's on Virtual Boy and that it has a very unique, like we talked about it a little bit, it uses the D-pads as sort of like your punching, blocking ability. It's kind of intuitive and interesting, but it's also like for a game, like it's not as simple as Punch-Out for Nintendo where you could weave and duck and punch and uppercut and that's about it. Whereas this is like you're doing different blocks and hooks and like, but there is a real cool kinetic element to that because of that. Like I find the hooks you can do really satisfying on the robots because it's very rock'em sock'em robot-y.
Yes.
Where like your punch will like really swing out with an interesting elasticity and the robot's head will like sprint. And it's a really like again, they thought of like how this should be really interesting and fun.
And how the depth plays with that
Yes.
too, I think is really compelling because your fist will, it's normally like right up by the screen, and you'll see it like go into the background, like hit the boss, and that'll then like stagger them back even further. Like it's like you say, very like compelling and elastic that way.
But it is like any other Punch-Out game. It is like you are studying patterns. There's a bit of luck to it. It can be very difficult and unforgiving. Probably made more so that like I don't recall how the continues on this worked, but you probably like to beat it, you would probably have to really hunker down and just like commit. And this was definitely a game I never got far in.
Yeah, me neither. And that's kind of my story with a lot of Punch-Out games, like that I can beat Glass Jaw Joe because like everyone can, and then like I can beat the next guy and like the first King Hippo fight, and then after that I'm like toast. Like I can't. I've just never learned their patterns or whatever, and I'm sure that I could, but I never have. Which is absolutely my story with Teleroboxer, except it's like the second guy that like stops me from progressing.
Did I go as far as the third? I forget.
Yeah, who knows?
It's still tough. Yeah, and it's apparently 9 of them. Like I'm sure, I don't know. I'm sure it's just insanely punishing at the end there.
There's also a like a secret like cat robot that you can box if you I think if you don't take a hit, or maybe just don't get knocked out ever, something like that. Which like some of the robots in here get crazy. There's like a kangaroo robot. That's fun.
Yeah.
Give me kangaroo robots. I like that. But yeah, it's weird for me. This is the one with the biggest gulf between like I love looking at it and love that it exists, but like actually can't stand playing it for more than like 5 minutes. Mark, you have any other thoughts about Teleroboxer before we move on?
Nope.
Next up is Virtual League Baseball, a baseball game. Hearn, did you have this one?
No.
I also did not have this one. Mark, thoughts about Virtual League Baseball?
Well, my experience with it is watching video of it, and I know that the general consensus is that it's not a very good game, that the like player balance and playing against the computer is no fun, and that's the only way that you can play. But
which is the same problems that plague like NES baseball and Game Boy baseball, except all of those games you can play.
Yeah, you have the option of playing
beings.
with somebody else. But it uses a lot of these games do end up using like pre-rendered graphics.
Right.
And
was the time for that,
There's something charming to me about that and the way that they're used, even if it doesn't make for a very good game. Aesthetically, I like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess I do too, and that's a good point because a lot of games that we have not talked about yet do use those like pre-rendered graphics in a very like Donkey Kong Country kind of way. Donkey Kong Country would have been out the year previous, And so, like, yeah, it seems like they were just like pedal to the metal. We don't know how to make graphics look like anything on Virtual Boy, so we may as well pre-render sprites for this thing.
Temperature on baseball games and video games in general.
Not my favorite sport to play on video games. I don't think I can think of many that I even really care for. I probably had a couple for Nintendo that were like fun enough, but I definitely never pursued it after the fact. I think it's easier when it's something where you can actually run across fields, like soccer, hockey games, like are easier for me to get into than if it's a play. It kind of doesn't do a lot of favors when half of the game is just standing still and waiting for a ball to come at you and hit it.
Yes,
and then
I agree.
And what little I played of, I never had this at growing up, so I only played it through emulation. And what little I tried of it, it didn't seem that different than like a Super Nintendo era baseball game, just with its obvious Virtual Boy taints. And yeah, I don't
didn't
know.
even have Ken Griffey Jr. in it.
Oh,
so.
well then, yeah, that's already at a loss. Yeah, it's not Mario's baseball even. Oh no.
Yeah, why do you? I mean, it's obviously they're inventing something with Mario's tennis,
That's
right?
true.
But it's kind of amazing that the rest of these like basic sports games that they weren't also tacking Mario onto that.
Well, this one is
It's a
not a
Kemco game,
Nintendo game. I think
Oh,
the
right.
first one that we've come
Kemco.
across that is not
oh yeah, you're
You
right.
might be right.
like developed or co-developed and published by Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yes, and Kemco, I mostly know them as the Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle
Okay.
studio.
Uh-huh.
And those games are
There's lots of them.
there's a lot of them. That's true.
They would have ripped on a Virtual Boy, I bet.
They would have worked on the Virtual Boy. It's true. All right, so that is that's Virtual League Baseball. I think we'll have it pretty low. Next up, speaking of maybe we'll have it pretty low, Waterworld on the Virtual Boy,
Fittingly made by Ocean.
fittingly made by Ocean. Who also made like some of the Jurassic Park games
Yeah,
in this
That's
era.
how I recall a lot of licensed games with that little image before.
What a like fortuitous and appropriate like game adaptation to appear on the Virtual Boy.
Pretty sure this is the only Waterworld game, and it had to be a Virtual Boy one.
I believe
Or
there was a
it's very
PlayStation one
limited.
that came out like
Oh.
a year later or something like
All
that.
right.
Wow.
But it was nothing like what this game was. Let's just Hearn, did you have Waterworld?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I never even saw Waterworld till honestly a couple years ago.
The movie, you mean?
The movie, yes.
That's so I didn't own a copy of this, but I rented Waterworld.
The video game.
The video game. Famously, and I don't know how famous it is, but I'll tell the story here, that I saw Waterworld with a friend of mine, and I got sick halfway through and threw up. And the joke was that I got seasick. So that's my relationship
pretty
with the,
good joke.
with the
Yeah.
film Waterworld.
Solid bit.
And then, of course, Waterworld Stunt Show Spectacular.
Yeah,
at
Universal Studios.
That's probably its most everlasting legacy.
I think so.
And it's a great stunt show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
They should be proud of the whole IP just for that stuff. But the Waterworld game, you play as the mariner in his boat. The mariner is Kevin Costner's character, who's like got gills or something. But you
Yes.
are just sailing around the open ocean, fighting the smokers, who are the bad guys, and rescuing people that they like torpedo out of their like rescue boats. And you go around to various atolls and collect them, and that's kind of it. It's a weird game and not particularly fun, but the soundtrack rips.
Yes, I know this game mostly from it. Some of the songs, probably just one, being included on a bunch of like YouTube,
Yes.
Relaxing, chill out and work video game mixes.
Yeah. Hearn, have you played this one at all in
Just
emulation?
a little bit through emulation, and sort of what I'm seeing of the graphics in the book kind of represent why I fell off pretty quickly, is that it's a very sparse looking game. Like, it has the depth of things in the background, but on a very empty plane. It's very almost Defender-ish, where it's like there's nothing to look at in the past, and you're just like going for it.
And it's sorry, go ahead.
No, and I also I don't think I listened to the soundtrack, so maybe I also did myself a disservice. So
You got to check out
All
like
right.
the main. I think
I'll at
it's-
least YouTube it.
yeah, just like the main music from it is quite good.
Yeah.
Another one where they use a bunch of pre-rendered sprites.
Right, well, and stuff
the
that's like
presentation.
scanned from the movie,
Uh-huh.
right? Like,
People on future jet skis.
yeah.
This is one where, like, if you watch the kind of like black and white footage that a lot of people, when they're posting gameplay footage online, they'll do it that way, and it looks not that bad to me. Like, it's not great, but then especially in like the Virtual Boy Red and Black, it just seems awful, like totally unplayable.
What's so weird about like Waterworld and with this like red and black like monochromatic presentation is that like red is not an ocean color. Black is not an ocean color. It's just like a confusing presentation. And as you're like sailing around in this boat, it is the same sort of perspective that we've been invoking a couple times here with like kind of a low camera. So you've got like a pretty high horizon line. But then like the sky and the sea below it are black. And it's just like a confusing, it just doesn't make any sense. Like visually, the thing is like noisy and is just sort of a mess.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to shout out. I've been flipping through the Virtual Boy works, and they have some stands of boxes and stuff sometimes, and a lot of times it's from Blockbuster Video, which is like maybe that's the best source they found of like intact boxes and manuals and stuff. Some of the prices were $20. This one doesn't even have a price for Waterworld. It's just $asterisk. I bet they were just like, if you're buying anything
dropping,
Virtual Boy, here you go, toss this in with you.
I do think that a Waterworld Virtual Boy game with a Blockbuster sticker on it is like the most time-stamped product in the universe.
When Waterworld the movie came out, I was like, must have been the perfect age for the marketing for it, because I wanted to see Waterworld so bad. I was sure it was going to be the coolest.
8 or 9 or something.
Yeah, I was sure it was going to be like the coolest movie ever. I didn't see it in theaters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you have seen it since?
I actually don't think I've seen all of Waterworld. Waterworld for a long time would be on like TNT or TBS all the time. And so I've seen parts of it, but I've never
such
seen
a long
the whole
movie.
thing in one sitting or anything like that.
If you were watching it on TV, I'm pretty sure they stretch it to 4 hours. Because it's so...
Well, it's an epic. I mean...
It is an epic. They gotta find dry land. All right, but that's Waterworld. Moving on to the next release, chronologically speaking, maybe one of the stranger conceptually things that's on here, Jack Bros, which is a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series, published and developed by Atlas, and it's a like twin stick / twin D-pad like shooter RPG where you play as like cute versions of demons from Shin Megami Tensei. I've never played this game. Hearn, have you?
Yes, and this was one of my 8.
This is one of your 8.
No way.
The rarest US game. Like, I think it goes for like $800 on eBay. Yeah. I had it ever since I had a Virtual Boy.
So you still have this game?
I still have this game.
Wow.
And this is also technically my first game I ever played at the Shin Megami Tensei games.
Sure.
Probably very early in the Atlas games I tried. And yeah, I didn't expect anything else when I got into it. Obviously, I didn't know that lore until way after. Because to me, it was just a very weird, like top-down, almost Halloween-y, spooky game. Because you could play as like Pumpkinhead characters and stuff.
And you choose between the 3 Jack brothers. There's Jack Frost, Jack Skeleton, which is a Jack the Ripper, and then like a Pumpkin Jack, right?
Yeah.
Like Jack Lantern. Is that what it's called?
Jack O'Lantern, maybe. Yeah, and it's very like it's not just top-down, dual sticky attacking like stuff. There's also like Bomberman elements. And it's dungeon crawly, so you're like falling from higher levels onto lower levels, and as you're moving, you can see the lower levels beneath you moving around while you're moving around. It's a nifty use of the Virtual Boy in that sense, because it's like it's almost that same feel of like you see the whole pinball, like you see the levels below as you're moving along. You see your net scrolls. And it's just a weird game for that, but. Yeah, like I didn't have much of like a comparison point to it. Just felt like a very unique game for that. And
I think it kind of is still unique because like
I'm sure.
You invoked Bomberman there, and like I said, like twin stick in that like you're controlling the shooting direction with one D-pad and the movement direction with the other.
Yep.
And it is just like straight up top down, but it's very corridor based.
Yes.
So like unlike most twin stick shooters where you're in like that are more of like a bullet hell situation. This is not that. This is
Yeah.
much more like you have to approach it in like
And
a
there'll be, like-
calculated way.
Yeah, and there'll be like boss fights and stuff, but sometimes you're like navigating like maze-like levels, like finding keys to unlock to the next level, and then eventually fighting off a boss with your shooting abilities. I replayed a little bit when I was like going through the games again on emulation, and it still seems pretty interesting, like try and master to some degree.
Yeah,
This-
I feel like this one has the reputation of being one of the best Virtual Boy games, where like kind of like without reservation saying this is like a cool concept done well on the Virtual Boy.
And like that is definitely true, but it also is like and is a game to boot, right? Like is a complete experience and not just like an arcadey little something or other that you can like. I think playing Jack Bros, you will run up against that 15-minute like, oh, I don't actually want to stop playing when it auto pauses. Whereas like everything else, you're given permission to stop playing, and you're like, yes, you're right, I should stop playing. So Jack Bros, I think, is probably going to land pretty high for us.
I think so.
Next up is Mario Clash. This is one that was in my library. Hearn, was it in yours?
Yes.
Mark, you've obviously never played
I've never
Mario
played
Clash,
it.
but
Yeah.
I just want to start with your impressions because I feel like Hearn and I have been monopolizing the tops of the conversation.
Well, so Mario Clash is kind of like a twist on the Mario Brothers game, but because there aren't two players, because Virtual Boy is a single player experience, it's kind of like rethought to take advantage of the stereoscopic 3D and then also make it a one-player experience. So in the Super Mario Brothers like arcade game, you are
just the Mario Brothers arcade game.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Mario Brothers game. You are hitting enemies from underneath to flip them over and like knock them out that way. In this game, there are always two Koopa Troopas that show up on like the field of battle.
Right.
And
they're still enemies, but they're primarily your ammunition.
Yeah, so you can jump on them and then use their shells to like throw across the field and like kill the other enemies.
Right. It's like there are platforms in the background and platforms in the foreground. And so a lot of like some of the enemies you can kill by throwing the shell directly at them, like on the same plane, but a lot of them you have to like throw across the gap. Like
and there are pipes that you can use to get from one field to the other.
I liked this game a lot, and I feel like I like got a lot of the same sort of like excitement from it that I did from playing the version of Mario Brothers that's in Super Mario Brothers 3. That like I just like that. I don't know. I like that basic form of a game. I kind of recognize as an adult that it's not good, but I like the twist on it. I think it's a cool use of the Virtual Boy technology.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. This is one of the ones where the like def actually plays into the gameplay loop, and it's kind of important to like learn the timing you have with how things go bad. And then, it switches up enough. I believe there's a good level select in it, so like you can play, stop, and then get back to where you were.
Yes, you can select up to the first 40 levels.
That's
there
what it is.
There are reportedly 99 of them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I believe the concept is it's almost like a hotel, and you're like going up on floors.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
I think it was something like that, and it's a fun like you said, it's a twist on like this very arcadey loop that is doing something for the Virtual Boy. And kind of by nature of what that the arcade loop was already like figured out a bit enough, it's pretty sharp. It's not like I don't think it's the most exciting arcade game you'll ever play, but it's an arcade game. Like you can play that for like a good hour and not be too mad.
My memory is also that it's very difficult.
Yeah, I think it got difficult pretty quickly within the 40 levels that you have at your start. Right. Yeah. But it's also like trying to, and especially if you're trying to do like the best combos you can do too, because you can really rack it up like point wise if you're trying to make sure you hit them just right or you combo depths together. But
yeah, that's true. With the ability to like toss over the divide between planes means that you can really use the shell to like hit two guys at once, and then the shell like ricochets back at you, and you can catch it and like throw it again. But it's also the kind of thing where like if you don't do it perfectly and you throw the shell and you miss the guy, then you got to like find a new shell. which can just be like a real, I don't know, that can be an annoyance. But this is one where I'm like, yeah, why don't we have a version of Mario Clash now? I feel like it would be totally playable.
Yeah, something arcadey like that. The Virtual Boy Works pointed out that there is a WarioWare level or a callback in one of the 9 volts where you play it.
Oh,
Yes.
that's fun.
It is the only Virtual Boy game that actually gets a shout out in one of the WarioWares.
I could see that, yeah. Unfortunately.
All right, moving on from Mario Clash to golf. No adjective. You know how every now and then they release a new X-Men series and they don't call it like Uncanny or All New or Incredible or whatever. They just call it X-Men, and you have to call it adjectiveless X-Men.
I mean, this feels like pinball or like baseball, where it's just checking the box of having one of these types of games that you expect in the 80s and 90s at a console launch.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't have this one, Hearn, did you?
No, I did not.
Where are we at on golf games in general?
I've become kind of a fan of like good golf games lately, like the Hot Shots, the Marios, all that stuff. Like I can get into a decent golf game as like a relaxing thing. Obviously, I like it the most when there's like a fun twist to it, like Golf Story or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, if it gets too rudimentary, then there's not much of a reason for me to invest in it. Because then otherwise I'm just, playing a very simple golf game. I tried a little bit of this via emulation, and on top of it just being a rudimentary golf game, it is very confusing with some of the mechanics to it. And on top of that, it is really trying to do something with like the virtual landscape, and I think it just makes it even more confusing. Like you'll land in areas and they'll be like, it's trying to communicate to you the slants of the hills with like the polygons, but it's hard to parse.
Yeah, I wonder if it's one like Red Alarm, where it benefits from actually playing on Virtual Boy hardware, because maybe some of that is like communicated more clear. Yeah, I feel like the most video game golf I've ever played is in Wii Sports.
Yeah,
sure.
And otherwise, golf is not something that I play very often in video games.
It really is crazy how much of Wii Sports was like, like the black box sports titles that we released on NES. We're just going to recreate that here, but with motion controls.
Right.
And add bowling.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah. And it worked.
Yeah.
All right, so golf, I don't know. We probably end up ranking that pretty low.
Probably not going to be too enthusiastic about it.
Next, probably the creme de la creme, Virtual Boy Wario Land. A game that I love. Hearn, this was for me the one campaign game that I completed.
Same, I also had it, and yeah, it's an easy standout from the system. Again, talking about early stuff like Mario's Tennis, this is a pretty early Wario Land game. This was like the second one.
Is that true? That just
I
after,
think so. Just after
the first one on?
Yeah, just after Super Mario Land 3. I think this was the next one, 95. And yeah, like I think not only that, but I think, especially I went back a little bit to just play a little bit of Super Mario Bros. 3. I would say, for Super Mario Land 3, I would say this has some of the like famous friction and like ideas that a lot of later Wario Land games or Wario platform games have that like it cribs from. Like it's a lot more influential than like you might expect from a Virtual Boy game.
So my memory of it is that it does have a lot of the like transformations and like power-ups that the original Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3 has, and is a little bit less, because like my impression of like the later Wario Land games is like, because I know in like some of them like Wario like literally can't die, and that like all of the enemies will like hit him and make him like respond in ways that allow you to access other areas, but that he doesn't have like traditional power-ups. So maybe this does kind of like bridge the gap between like this sort of classic Wario Land, and by classic I just mean the first one, and like where the series is headed. But this is like a surprisingly fully featured platformer Wario Land game.
Is this the one where he has hats and the hats like give him transformations into different abilities? That's
also the Wario Land on Game Boy, the Super Mario Land 3. So yes.
And this also does like the Virtual Boy stuff of like there'll be this pops up in later Wario Land games, like you can see a level in the background and you can hop back to it, and sometimes there'll be things swinging from background to foreground that you have to dodge, and it uses the stereoscopic elements of that a bit. Like you're still kind of fighting on the 2D plane, but you're using the background planes to like find more things, find hidden treasures.
Yes.
It doesn't have some of the later mechanics, like you don't have to rush through a level backwards or whatever, but like and there isn't as much puzzle platforming, but you are hunting around levels looking for stuff. There are mini games in between to get more points and get more hearts.
Right. And it's nicely like exploration based and has a lot of secrets and stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's as far as like just Nintendo platformers go, it's still like very good. Like I wouldn't put it below a lot of them, and it would be just the unfortunate nature of it's very sequestered, obviously, to the Virtual Boy.
Right.
That makes it a hard sell, but if you have a way to play it, you'll find it's very fun.
It's one that seems ripe for remake.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why don't we have a Virtual Boy Wario Land remake?
Yeah.
That's such a like late era Switch, like a real 2024 game that they could have put out, but never did. Any other thoughts on Wario Land before we move on from it?
Nope.
Next up is Panic Bomber, a Bomberman game. Spin-off, yeah, that was being published on a lot of other platforms at around the same time. Really seems like the Bomberman's a Bandai Namco game, is that right?
Sounds right.
No, Konami.
Konami.
It's Konami. Sorry, that's my fault. And Konami like pretty good at supporting Nintendo platforms, even like at launch in this era. And so they brought this game over to Virtual Boy as well. It's not like a Bomberman game though. It's like a Puyo Puyo style game. This is not one that I owned, so I don't have much experience with it. Hearn, did you own this one?
No, it just for the count for those counting along at home. We got 7 of my 8. This was not number 8. And yeah, I never played this one until recent emulation. And yeah, it doesn't do too much with the Virtual Boy element because it is a Puyo Puyo game on a 2D frame. Again, you're also not being able to play against a person. You're only playing against CPU. It's a sort of versus Puyo Puyo where you're like trying to get the combos quicker than the opponent, so you can add bombs to their screen and
I feel like a Puyo Puyo style game, even amongst those like Tetris-like falling block, puzzle games, is like a foundational part of it is that it's 2-player versus, right? Mm-hmm. That like Puyo Puyo you play as a combat game first. When it came out as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, like it makes up like Robotnik characters for you to like fight against in Puyo, and this does the same thing. It just has to like make up characters because you can't actually play against another human.
So I don't know the wider Bomberman like universe and cast of characters, but in the footage I saw, there was like some like Kirby looking thing that was happening, and then what looked to me like Mew from
Pokemon?
No, Meowth from Pokemon, but like wearing some sort of space outfit. He was like dancing around. I don't know. It made me curious about what I was missing in the broader Bomberman lore.
Yeah, just weird though that like they didn't put out like a real Bomberman game for.
Yeah, especially since as Jatbro showed, they could have done a kind of similar thing. And
yeah, totally.
That could have worked.
Although Bomberman is also usually a multiplayer thing too.
True,
right?
That's probably the main reason.
But I don't know. That just seems like a weird fit. Next up is Vertical Force. Vertical Force was a like shoot 'em up style. You play as a ship or plane or something or other, and you're scrolling vertically, and its big gimmick was that both you and the enemy fighters could like traverse down to the plane below, and then back up to the plane above, so it's like sort of 2 planes of action at the same time. Vertical Force not in my library.
This was number 8.
Number 8.
And yes, I think again, its big Virtual Boy gimmick is because there have been like shmups that use that sort of gimmick of you can be on two different planes of combat, or you're attacking something below you. Like Twinbee even had like you could drop a bomb on something below. This is using the Virtual Boy thing to be that you can see the enemy scale and your scale go up and down when you can go up and down, and how that like plays with that. Other than that, it is a pretty straightforward shoot 'em up of like the forward scrolling type.
Yeah,
has some degree of like fun with like the upgrades and battle, but like otherwise it's what you can imagine. But it's not bad. It's a shooter. It's less inventive than like Red Alarm, but also you're kind of grateful for that because it's probably
it's also simpler. For that.
It's also playable even without emulation. You probably don't need like Virtual Boy. I imagine helps with the effects, but it's not as necessary because there's definitely been regular hardware games that do something similar. So
right, yeah, totally. It's so like this kind of game is so interesting to me because it just feels like an arcade experience, right? Like I don't know how you make like a longer shoot 'em up like this, or like how you make a game like this that like people want to come back to in not like a pizza parlor or whatever.
Yeah. But like you're saying, Hearn, in some ways like a blessing for the Virtual Boy to have kind of like a simple, straightforward game like this that isn't trying to do too many things.
Yeah, it's just crazy that like you would need to go out, spend your asterisk $sign money to get a cart that just does that. You know what I mean? But all right, moving on from Vertical Force is a game that unfortunately Mark and I can't talk about.
Well, we can talk about it, but we can't talk about some of the specifics of it. So you'll have to say the name.
I was about to say, Patrick already led me onto this, and I texted him with the idea you guys can call it "He Who Shall Not Be Named" Funky Bowling,
but which we could do, but then that also just makes me want to play a Voldemort's Funky Bowling.
But you did it down. Yeah, this is Nestor's Funky Bowling. I did not have this one as a kid. I played it through emulation. Seems like a pretty straightforward bowling game. Like one of those you could play for like Genesis or something. Like it's not. I don't think it uses the Virtual Boy hardware too inventively. What little I saw, and like a single player bowling game. Imagine the fun of that.
Right. Well, it's also just another thing. Like I haven't played this game either, but the way it controls is again just like golf, essentially, right? It's all about meters.
You aim,
and you select
meters.
2 meters,
right?
And I guess you can hold the D-pad to like spin
the
ball.
On the ball, right?
But notable for having the character that we can't talk about, who was featured in like a series of comics in Nintendo Power.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeremy Parrish in
and
Virtual
of
Boy,
course his twin sister, which can we
can talk about Hester.
We can talk about Hester?
Yeah,
okay,
I think so.
So you can play as Hester if you want.
Who was invented for this.
Right.
But as Jeremy Parrish pointed out, like the character we can't talk about was retired for 2 years. Had not appeared in Nintendo Power for 2 years before this game came out.
And that's even after a couple years, or at least a couple months of like them trying to do the strip solo after Howard Phillips had retired. And like the strip was it's just a comic strip in Nintendo Power. That was just all the more annoying without the other character. So like it was a pain in the butt character that has then also been absent for 2 years and then basically never appears in games again except for Pilot Wing 64 sort of where he's called Lark in the US version. But yeah, by all accounts a bowling game.
Well, the other thing I think is funny about the presentation is it is maybe the most realistic of the experience of being bowling, sitting there and getting like a spare or something, and they, how they have those animations.
Yes.
Like those are heavily featured in this game as their own spin on those.
Right. Except the little animations feature the characters of Hester and her twin brother, who we cannot name.
That's
here.
right.
And like with their heads exploding or like becoming bald or something.
Hi, there's just nothing really funky about it.
Yeah, I know. That's its biggest misnomer is that if you're doing something funky, especially on Virtual Boy with Nintendo properties, there's so much you could do to like liven it up. Instead, they gave it to two very white bread people. And,
yeah. You would think that there could be some like psychedelic angle to it.
Or even just have it be like galactic bowling. Yeah. And, play with that visually, make it more interesting than just like in a bowling alley.
I will also say that the way it presents, like when you bowl an individual frame, I hate. Because it like you see the lane, right, and there's like it's doing the stereoscopic effect of like the pins are way down there, so they feel far away from you. But then it cuts to a close up, like a split screen that's a close up of the pins being knocked down, and the character either celebrating or bemoaning the fact they didn't do that well. And like that, I don't know. There's something about the immersive, like the pretend immersive nature of a 3D presentation to then do a split screen in opposite directions where it like messes with my head and I just don't like it. Where I'm like, I wish they would show us the pins knocking down and then like whip pan back around to see.
That might sound worse on Virtual Boy hardware than
probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Funky Bowling.
In name only.
In name only. That's right. Which brings us to the final release in North America for the Virtual Boy, 3D Tetris.
Again, Tetris in name only.
Yeah. Totally. What's the name of the game that this is basically like? It's like Block It or something like that.
Block Out.
So it's you're dropping blocks into like a 3-dimensional well.
Yeah, it's like a cube.
Yeah, like a cube. Yeah, it's a 5 by
5 by cube.
And the pieces are also 3D, and your goal basically is to complete layers. And that's kind of it. I've never played this game. Seeing footage of it, it looked confusing and like slow and frustrating. So even thinking about 3D Tetris like makes me mad, especially because it's Tetris, or it's not actually, but
right, it's not actually.
Its name is Tetris.
It's not even the Tetris shapes from what little I played. It's like just lines, and I think again, talking about it in 3D, you can flip it in the 3 dimensions, so it can be long ways, it can be on the correct plane that you're trying to match up,
right?
And then the layers are like the solid layer of the 5 by 5 that you're doing. It's hard to explain, but yeah, and it just feels slower than Tetris. Maybe it gets harder and more fast as you get further, but that also makes it seem like that'd be a chore.
Right.
Like it would be very frustrating, but and just little I played the other version of it where it's slower and I'm still figuring it out was not very engaging and just made me want to play regular Tetris, which is a very synapse, like a very immediate game.
Yes. Well, and Japan did get a what's the name of the Tetris game?
V-Tetris.
Yeah, V-Tetris, which is for the most part just like a regular Tetris game, but there is a mode where it starts to add lines to the background, and then you can rotate them around to get like a complete like circular sort
That's
of
an interesting
Tetris
idea.
playing field, which is a very cool idea, and I would like to mess around with that. But it's a Japanese game, so it's not part of our ranking here.
I will say for 3D Tetris, the one bit of personality I feel like the game has
This is good.
is each of the like blocks. Each block shape has like an anthropomorphized avatar for them. Where like
in the where it shows you what block is coming up next.
Yeah. So it's like, these two like lines are like twins and they're wearing backwards baseball caps.
Right.
And this one has long hair.
Right. And
like,
this like T-shaped block has like a big unibrow and is like angry.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of stuff. Like I love the viruses dancing around in Dr. Mario. That's my favorite part of that.
I mean, these don't really dance.
They don't
just
dance,
They just
I know.
stand there.
I like
glowering.
the idea that these things could have personality.
Yeah, totally.
And 3D Tetris has that. But I think almost nothing else. So, okay. How many games is that?
I think there's 14.
14.
Is that right?
Okay. I think at this point we should probably just start knocking these things into tiers, right? And maybe just consider like good game, bad game, trash. Like, is that kind of the...
Sure.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a real vibes ranking.
It's a real vibes ranking. Galactic Pinball.
Good game.
I think good game as well.
Yeah.
Mario's Tennis.
I'll stay with good game, but I am less enthused about it than...
I think also good game, but probably just lower on,
yeah,
on
it's
the ranking
serviceable
than
at
Galactic Pinball.
words.
Red Alarm.
All right, I'm actually going to say good game, but I am kind of a sucker for just how weird it is, and I don't blame other people for not being into it.
Yeah, it's tough. Mark, what do you think about Red Alarm?
Having not played it, I'm willing to defer to Hearn.
Okay,
It
so-
might end up being lower in good games.
Yeah,
but
I
good
think
game.
so. I think I'm just gonna start like arranging these things in that when we say lower than.
I mean, I'll just bring up. I do have a bias about the 8 games I did have, but I also
Of
think
course,
I think
right.
I did get lucky. I think I had a lot of the more inventive, nifty, interesting
Yeah.
games, and I did not have golf and baseball.
Right,
yeah,
Totally.
Next up is Tellero Boxer.
So I
My
will-
heart doesn't know what to do.
I
with
know
This one.
this is a tough one of like it's kind of defining of the Virtual Boy. You love to hate it, you hate
Yes.
to love it. It's kind of like you want to defer it. I think it'll be higher in the rankings just kind of for that. But I can be honest and be like, it's not that good.
Yeah, I feel like it falls under like bad game.
Yeah,
Ultimately.
radio or bad
Oh,
game.
okay.
Not trash, but
Right.
like bad game.
Yeah.
is sort of my thought.
The
Mark,
visuals are not enough to save it.
the visuals are so
Yeah.
great, but like
The
literally,
experience
it's,
of playing
Yeah,
it
it's
is
a
that
game
not
I
fun.
can play for 5 minutes. and
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Next up, baseball. Trash.
Yeah,
Okay.
trash.
Trash pile.
Sorry, baseball fans.
Next up, Waterworld.
I'm also going with trash for that.
I think we gotta go trash
Okay.
with the smokers. Here, I'm gonna move these.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Jack Bros. I think we gotta call it good game, right?
Yeah, I'm calling it a good game.
Okay, good game up there. Mario Clash.
I will also say good game. It's not great, but it's also like it's playable. Again, I feel
It
like
is playable.
I give
yes.
so much leniency to any Virtual Boy game that's actually playable. Like I could see myself finishing it one day. type of
Sure.
thing.
The bar is pretty low.
Yes.
But I will agree, good game. Unless Mark, you want to
No.
nudge anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Golf.
I'm running with trash.
I would put it in the Telro Boxer.
Oh.
It seems like
The bad game
but
category.
I mean, I haven't played it at
That's
all.
I think that's fair
but-
enough. It's again, I keep saying playable is always a bonus. It seems like it's a fine enough golf game, but I just with no reason to play it more than
Right.
any other golf game.
The thing for me that separates this version of golf with this version of baseball is like, you know, they're both basically the same things that have been presented to us on earlier Nintendo platforms, but it doesn't matter that you play golf by yourself.
That's
You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like the
mhm.
Virtual Boy, that's not a strike against it, whereas it definitely is for baseball.
I like that logic.
Okay, Virtual Boy Wario Land,
I mean, the best game.
probably the best game.
Not
Probably,
to spoil it, but yeah, good game. Honestly, good game. You can actually play it.
yes. Panic Bomber.
This is the Puyo Puyo one,
Yeah,
This
right?
is the Puyo Puyo one. Yes. Either bad game or trash. Probably bad game.
I'll stick with bad because it's not unplayable. It's just there's not much to it.
Yeah. Okay. Vertical Force.
Just because I've been heavy on the goods, I'm willing to put it at a lower level.
I think this probably goes in the bad game
Yes,
category.
but it's definitely not trash. It's again,
right.
It's like on the
it's feasible.
Panic Bomber level.
Yeah.
Yeah. The the bad game tier is a strange lot.
Yeah.
We will obviously address it in a second here. Okay. Funky Bowling. Hearn, can you say the name of the game for us?
Nestor's Funky Bowling.
Thank you. Trash, right?
Trash, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that it exists, but like
Right.
literally
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And then 3D Tetris.
To me, that feels like it belongs in the same category
bad
as
game.
like bad game, like Panic Bomber and Vertical Force.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Okay, well, so we've got like a pretty even spread here.
Yeah.
With only 3 games in the trash.
Yeah. I mean, but like you said, bad games is a weird mix of games
Yeah.
where like they're like some of them like I don't even know that Panic Bomber is necessarily bad, right? It's just
But it is like, why would you play? So
It's
Panic Bomber
unremarkable.
was on so many other platforms at
Right.
like around the same time, and they all had 2-player
Yeah.
like combat modes.
right.
So it's like, why would you play? And it's a like color matching Puyo Puyo game,
Yeah.
and there's no color at it.
Black.
Do you love red? Can I interest you
I
in
love
black?
matching red with red.
Uh-huh.
But so yeah, it is sort of the quintessential. Why would you play that? Why would you
Yeah,
play that
yeah.
on this system?
Yeah, totally.
But so let's start from the bottom.
All right.
With Funky Bowling, Virtual League Baseball, and Waterworld. Which of these is the worst?
My vote would be baseball,
I am tempted to agree with you.
and then Funky Bowling above that, and then Waterworld, kind of like the top of the trash
Yeah.
because it's at least trying something
Yeah.
interesting,
And it's got that great music.
and it's got the
I'm gonna have to
music.
check out that music.
You got Hearn. You got to check out the music.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, I bet, like, what's the music in baseball? Just da-da-da, da-da.
Probably is. Probably is just da-da-da-da-da.
but
It's
no,
probably just charge.
Yeah, charge. But I agree with that logic because, yeah, like, you can play baseball and bowling games that are definitely better. At least Waterworld's something else. And then, yeah, it definitely the solitary nature of a baseball game on the Virtual Boy.
It's like, what's the...
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of times, even in the last 2 minutes, where I've said, "What's the point of something?" But both Funky Bowling and Waterworld are so strange that you can't levy that criticism against it. Where it's like someone loved this, right? Otherwise, why would they exist?
Well, I feel like Funky Bowling falls into the same realm as like we've talked about with pinball and golf and baseball, where it's like bowling. It's another just kind of like video games,
a foundational thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but so that's the bottom of our list.
Yeah, okay.
Let's explore the bad game pile, which is again
Bad to the
Tellero
bone.
Boxer, Golf, Panic Bomber, Vertical Force, and 3D Tetris.
All right.
Which of these do we think is? I sort of think that 3D Tetris is the bottom of this pile.
Okay.
Any other candidates for the bottom?
I mean,
here?
the only thing I'm fighting against is that in golf, but again, it's the thing of golf kind of works as a single-player Virtual Boy game with its own inventive nature, and 3D Tetris just, I think, by nature of comparison, just feels like something else is lacking. You don't have the actual Tetris like finesse and gameplay of it.
It's the gall of calling it
Yes.
Tetris that really gets me. That's putting it next.
Yeah.
Okay.
How dare you?
Okay.
Then probably golf next.
Yeah, I have no
Probably
problem with
golf next, and then probably Panic Bomber
Yeah,
just above that.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that because again, we laid out the thing of it's missing the second player element.
Mm-hmm.
It's got problems with its own concept being on the Virtual Boy.
Do we think that that's a? And look, I know these are two games that none of us have played. Panic Bomber and Golf. Do we maybe have that reversed? Is Golf maybe better than Panic Bomber?
Solely for the like single playerness of
Yeah,
it all.
that it kind of makes sense.
I don't hate it. I don't mind if you want to flip it.
Yeah.
My only thing, I definitely didn't play more than like what little I played of emulating both of them to get into like how deep it could go. But at least Golf probably has level design to it too.
Right.
And
But I mean, maybe also need to check, Puyo Puyo is a good. That's a good
yeah, it's not
type of game.
unplayable.
Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay
Yeah.
the way it is.
Okay.
Thank you for going with me on that
No problem.
excursion. So now,
Yeah.
at the top of the bad game pile, we've got Vertical Force and Tellero Boxer. Which one goes where?
This is really a fight between playability and aesthetics for me.
That's absolutely correct. Yes.
Because Vertical Force, I've played a little bit, and it is a playable shmup, but Tellero Boxer is like the special place in my heart I have for like Virtual Boy games of no one's tried something like this since. It's got its own unique style for it. It's got an effect on the Virtual Boy that works so well. I mean, I'm talking myself into it, honestly, to put it above Vertical Force.
That's sort of what I'm feeling too, and I think it's also possible that when we start sorting the good games, that Tellero Boxer climbs up into there somewhere. I think it's possible. But okay, so we're putting Vertical Force above Panic Bomber.
Yeah, which I'm happy with.
Mark, you happy with that?
Yeah, and then Tellero Boxer
Above
at the
that,
top of the bad games.
right? For right now. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate how hard the art for Tellero Boxer
Yeah,
is?
the box art is good.
It's a giant robotic fist coming at you, and on its knuckles, Tellero Boxer.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And the robot has bolts coming out of its head.
It's good.
That's not a comfortable looking punch either. That's
No.
so sharp as heck.
No, he's got some knuckles. Okay, so the top here, the so-called good games, we have 6 of them.
Nice.
Yes. Wario Land, Galactic Pinball, Mario's Tennis, Red Alarm, Jack Bros, and Mario Clash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hearn, you and I both sort of
Yes.
previewed that we think Wario Land is the top
Yeah,
here.
this is not going to be. I feel like that's going to be the least surprising thing. Is that as far as what stands out beyond the best, it's easily Wario Land, and that's not to be too disparaging to the library because it is actually on its own merits a very good game. but also easily, it's the one that has like it's a playable campaign. You can actually invest yourself in it, and it's worth it. So,
do you think it's funny that like what we sort of perceive as like the default best game on Virtual Boy is when they just like made a game? Like it uses the
level
gimmicks.
Design and
but it's kind of just like just make a good game and we'll play that.
And I don't know, like I never invested in the history too much of it. I don't own the book like you do, and I'm sure like maybe they could have like been thinking of this as an actual Game Boy game, and they just changed it up and made it Virtual Boy instead, because it has like the same polish and level design and the thought process as any of those games. So it might have just been that fortunate from that instead of trying to be a gimmick. But
it is nuts that like we only have one Wario Land game that didn't originate on a handheld, right? That like Wario Lands 1 through 4 are all Game Boy Advance, and then this is Virtual Boy.
Well, I mean, you have the Shake It.
That's true. Oh, that's the only one.
Oh, I see what I'm saying.
You're counting this as portable.
Everything else is
Master
portable.
Disguise was DS, stuff like that. The only
I guess there's Wario World.
Yeah, Wario World is just 3D and by Treasure for GameCube. So,
right. That feels like a different thing, though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's the same. All right. So do we want to...
Also, is it the only one that has Virtual Boy in the title?
It is.
Yes. Full-on Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the one only other Mario Land at the time.
It's a good point.
I think 2 might have come out.
2 may have been out by this point?
Maybe. But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
2... Was 2 the one that like came out in the US as a Game Boy Color game and in Japan as a Game Boy game? There's one of them that...
Yeah, I think so.
So if that's the case, the Game Boy Color is not out yet.
Oh, okay, so so maybe this is the second one.
Maybe at least was for US,
Okay, but so we know what the top is.
Yes.
And maybe we can even sort of intuit what second place is, but I think we should continue to work from the bottom.
All right.
So between Galactic Pinball, Mario's Tennis, Jack Bros, Red Alarm, and Mario Clash, what do we think is next above Tellero Boxer?
All right. I mean, I'm gunning for... I have a soft spot for Red Alarm, but I don't mind it being the bottom of the grid because it is a very tough... Like, it's not the same Tellero Boxer situation. It's more tough to play than it is intuitive.
Yeah.
And it's more about novelty than it is about, like, a full-on thought out thing, but it also is a campaign. It is like it's trying a lot. I think it's successful in elements, and then it is less successful. So, but I have no problem with it being like the least successful of these games
of the good games.
Impressive that it exists.
Yes,
I will agree with that. And then I sort of think that Mario's Tennis is next.
Yeah, just because it's so rudimentary, and we have the same problem we've been harping on all the other sports games with, is that it begs for a second player, and until some crafty gamers came along and fixed that, it didn't have it.
Right. Yeah. It's the last one of these like available games that really suffers from that original sin of like you can't play with another person. Also, again, just like kind of slow and like a fine. It belongs in the good category here, but that's about it. Okay, so now Galactic Pinball, Mario Clash, Jack Bros. I feel like I could go either way between Galactic Pinball and Mario Clash as the next, but
I see that. I think I meant that too, because again, I have a soft spot for Jack Bros for my own personal life, and I also appreciate that it's got a campaign to it. Again, it's got multiple characters. It uses the depth of the Virtual Boy pretty well, and then it's just up to what style of arcadey fun do I like more, like pinball or Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Although when you say that that, I think I have a clear answer in my head. But Mark, what are you thinking?
I think, are we from the bottom?
From the bottom here.
For me personally, it would probably be Galactic Pinball, but that's because I don't care about video pinball that much.
Yeah, I can live with that. It's got a cool aesthetic to it. Again, like anything else, it's a little more inventive than Mario's Tennis, but it's like kind of in the same mode of like one playthrough of each level is probably enough to satiate you.
Yeah.
Whereas Mario Clash would liven it up more as you play deeper.
but not that much.
Yeah, I know. Oh, as much as it can. Yeah.
But that is when you saying like which arcade experience
Yes.
do you want more? I was like, oh yeah, I want a Mario Brothers experience more than I want a pinball experience. That's just
Fair.
kind of always true. Galactic Pinball above Mario's Tennis, Mario Clash above Galactic Pinball, and then I think that just leaves Jack Bros necessarily to fall into second
Yeah.
place.
If you guys are good with that, I am too. I think that's about right. I think that was like as invested as I was in the Virtual Boy as Wario Land and Jack Brothers, and then the rest were kind of like a mix of interest.
Things that you would play from time to time,
Yeah.
but not really be able to get into. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I'm seeing it as well. Mark,
Yeah, I
you
think
got any
that
thoughts there?
looks good. Also, I looked it up, and you're right. Wario Land 2 didn't come out until like 3 years later or something.
Wow,
Oh
so
wow!
3 years
yeah.
later.
Much later.
Incredible stuff. Do we want to? We have these all laid out here, and we will review them and make sure that we're happy. Do we want to just quickly go through some of these Japanese games at all, or are we like?
I can talk about a couple because I tried here and there.
You tried a couple?
Yeah.
Mark, you cool with?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a virtual bowling game, just like another bowling game.
Yeah, very basic. Not. At least it didn't promise funk
to be
and-
funky.
At least it didn't fail
That's
to be
true.
funk. Yeah.
It did promise to be virtual though, and
Yeah,
it is definitely
fair.
not. There's this Gundam game, Dimension War.
So I tried a little bit of that. It's a tactical like RPG almost, and it is
Right.
very, especially probably through emulations of on the Virtual Boy, like very confusing. Like I could not understand the scale of it. It was tough to figure out.
Because when you go into the actual battles,
Yeah.
like from the tactics part, it becomes like a 3D arena
Yeah.
thing, which looks like a nightmare.
Yeah, it's got the political problem of Red Alarm, except it's even it's more sparse. It's harder.
Then there's Virtual Lab, which is a falling block intestine game. Have you guys seen footage of this thing?
No.
So it's got like a big boobied protagonist who like hangs out on the side of the screen, and falling blocks that are pieces of intestine like go into a Tetris style well, and you have to like connect one end to another. And when you do, she like jumps up and down and her boobs jiggle. And that's like the whole game.
Huh.
Anyway, Virtual Lab.
Probably the only Virtual Boy game where it does behoove you to be the only one looking at it.
That's true. Then there's a Space Invaders Virtual Collection.
Yeah, I tried a little bit of that, and then I think its big sale is that the virtual mode, which is optional, is kind of slanted at a side a la Galactic Pinball.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
But it's still Space
It's
Invaders.
Space Invaders,
Yeah.
right? And there are a lot of like throwback games in here, but like
Yeah.
Space Invaders. My
Yeah.
God. This game's name is
And-
in Japanese.
Oh,
It's in his mouth.
yeah.
It's got Japanese words as well, but it's like a dungeon crawling like first person
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
action
Yeah,
horror
there's like
experience.
a shooting element to it.
Yeah.
I might retry it with like emulation, but I couldn't get it to work very well. But even then, what little I saw of it didn't seem super promising.
But my understanding is that like this is one that is an actual game.
Yeah.
Right? Like a playable
Yeah.
like in the same class, maybe not as good, but in the same class as like Wario Land and Jack Bros.
And I don't think it'd actually be good, but I could see how it'd theoretically be interesting to do a first-person dungeon
Totally,
crawler
yeah,
in the
Virtual
Virtual
Boy.
Boy.
Right. Then there's virtual fishing. I'll never understand
No.
fishing video games. There's Space Squash, which actually looks like a pretty cool personality-filled kind of handball.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
robots.
so it's like a sports game
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
space.
In
Yeah,
space.
okay. Some Funky Bowling could have learned from this.
Yeah.
Yes. Put it in space.
Put it in
Uh-huh.
space.
Space golf.
Space golf?
That
Yeah,
might be
there
fun.
you go.
And then V Tetris, which we talked about a little bit already.
Yes.
A much more compelling execution of Virtual Boy Tetris than the 3D Tetris. Okay, so great. We've at least mentioned each of the Japanese games, even if I didn't say the name of one of them because I can't read the kanji on there. Okay, so from the bottom, I'm going to work our way up.
Yeah, sounds
and
good.
If at any point we encounter something that we don't like, we don't think is right, doesn't feel good, just shout it out and we will address it. Number 14, Virtual League Baseball. Hearn, you say number 13.
Yeah, you do number
All right.
13.
Number 13, fittingly enough, Nestor's Funky Bowling.
Number 12, Waterworld.
Number 11, 3D Tetris.
Number 10, Golf.
Number 9, Panic Bomber.
Number 8, Vertical Force.
I'm so happy that I got this one. Number 7, Tolero Boxer.
Number 6, Red Alarm.
And we feel good with Tellero Boxers being where it is. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I could flip Tolero Boxer Red Alarm if we really feel it, but it's so adjacent.
I agree with that. I was just like, I was feeling a little bit of like, ooh, do I want that to be higher? But if everyone was like, yes, we want that to be higher, I would have pushed for it. But that's not where we are. So Red Alarm, you said number 6. Mario's Tennis, number 5.
Number 4, Galactic Pinball.
Okay, and then top 3. Number 3, Mario Clash.
Number 2, Jack Bros.
Hey, number 1, Virtual Boy Wario Land.
Yeah, I think we did it.
Yeah.
I think this is the definitive order of ranking of Virtual Boy games.
Yeah, what a celebration for
We've
his
played most of
30th
them.
birthday.
Yeah. Well, some of us have played most of them.
Yeah.
Mark, do you think what do you think it would take to get you to like play any of these?
I think it would take Nintendo to represent them somehow, like put it on Nintendo Switch Online, or even if they, like did a virtual console where I had to like buy individual entries. I'd be willing to do that for Virtual Boy Wario Land and maybe a couple other of these just to experience them again.
I still think they should put out like a game that is just all of the Virtual Boy games, right? And like include a little Virtual Boy like museum with it or whatever. Same thing I think they should do with Game & Watch. Because then like that way they could actually get me to buy Virtual Boy games.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's close this segment out. Michael Hearn,
Hello.
thank you so much for sharing
Yeah,
your
thank you so much.
Virtual Boy
No.
expertise.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
One of
Your
my few
experience.
things, that I have an expertise in that few ever do, so I'm happy to share them with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it is such a, and I feel like it becomes like vanishingly smaller every year, right? That like, this is truly one of the corners of like Nintendo Ana that is just like going away.
Yeah, totally.
Will we have enough brain cells left to remember the 40th anniversary? Like, probably not.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Hearn, I know you already mentioned you plugged your website up at the top and the films that you can find there. Anything else that you want to shout out on your way out here?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a blast. Thank you to our 16-bit patrons, Connor McKay, Patrice Millette, Kyle Seaborn, Drew Mackey, James Haig. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone who's listening or interacting with us in any way. We couldn't do the show without you. We wouldn't do the show without you. Join the Discord if you're not there already. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. We'll send you the invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.